Upper Iowa's herbarium collection is fairly small. It's about 5,000 specimens, but the room that we have it in right now is extremely small. It's just a little 10 by 10 area. It's not very well environmentally controlled, and it's just filled with things and not properly preserved, if you will. So we really needed to get a better space. So we looked around campus and we came up with the idea that this is a space in the Edgar Fine Arts building. Okay, and the great tie with this building, with the herbarium, would be that outside in the foyer here is the art display that was set up by Emma Running. And she has the window display that was basically inspired by C.C. Parker's herbarium specimens. So his prairie smoke, okay, and Dutchman's breeches I can see out there actually right now. Again, just a beautiful little artistic window into just a part of C.C. Parker's herbarium collection. So it seemed to be very fitting to be able to have that space in here. Plus, this particular room here in Edgar is right beside the Bing Art Gallery. So again, that will allow us to do some additional displays of, say, the herbarium samples, as well as some other artistic displays in that particular area. It's about 8 times the size of the current herbarium, so probably more space than we need for just the herbarium. So we did a little bit of brainstorming and realized, and actually some of the Parker family members really clued me in on this, is that not only was there herbarium samples way back when, but there was a museum that had geologic samples as well. It's even possible that Charles Coleman or C.C. Parker had some of those had some geologic samples in there of his as well. We know that there was a museum space, and that museum space used to be in, again, the science building, which is now, again, the Parker Fox Hall. One of our alums from way back, his name is Terry Lansgard, knows an awful lot about some of these geologic specimens. He remembers what was in the museum. So we've been having him to help us look through some of the geologic specimens that we have on campus. In our current herbarium space, we have one cabinet that is truly made for preserving herbarium materials. And right now that does have the Parker and Fink samples that we've been working on, the historic samples from 150 years ago. We do have those in that cabinet, and we have a couple other collections from that general period in the 1880s. We have that in that particular cabinet, but we have so much other stuff that's not in a great cabinet. So we were able to purchase, we're going to be purchasing 4 new cabinets like that other one. So we'll have 5 herbarium cabinets. And I think that should be able to house pretty much all of the collection, and maybe even a little bit of room for growth as we go along. So we've got some bookshelves, a lot of herbarium identification materials, like the Flora of North America volumes. We have about 30 volumes of those. We're hoping to kind of get moved over into here, and again, maybe some other books that were left from various Upper Iowa professors, Professor Chervug, we had Professor Richard Coleman, and Professor Naylor. We have some books from them. So again, hopefully we're going to try to pull together various things that were here that might be reminiscent of some faculty that people have had from the past. Herbarium specimens are usually, I should remember, I think it's 11 by 14. So they're larger than the normal type of even legal pad, if you will. So you need a little bit of space to really lay them out. So we're hoping to get a nice long conference table, and then probably, again, we've got this one table back here that we'll probably use as some kind of a multimedia location, maybe a television screen, so that then, say, if we want to interact with maybe Parker family members or other members of the scientific community, we can kind of zoom them in, if you will, And we have actually have a storage area in this room, this building, where we've been able to kind of put things. Some of the geologic samples we have in the storage area now. So it'll give us an opportunity to kind of have a prep area to set things up, and then once we know, what we want, and we have all the archival materials, we can kind of bring those things back into here and then put them on display, and then switch things out when we need to. Okay, so I think it's going to be just a great design from that standpoint. I can't tell you how excited I am to kind of get this going. I've been in that cramped little herbarium space over in Baker Hebron, and it's served its purpose. And we'll still use that. Actually, we still need to do our teaching over there. So we'll have teaching samples over there that we'll be able to use from that standpoint. But we'll still always be able to bring students over here and show them the stuff that we want to make sure that's still archived and preserved. And we have a nice space we'll be able to kind of show that stuff off. So that's the vision right now. So that's what we're looking for. So again, we're making progress on the Herbarium Museum space, and so we've got in the new herbarium cabinets that we were able to buy. Again, I think these are very, very protective cabinets, so we want to make sure that all of these historical specimens that we have from 100, 150 years ago, that they get properly preserved and are archived and preserved, so we're kind of working on that. So we have a series of 4 cabinets here. We have one other cabinet just like this that we had bought a while back. We will be bringing it over, but as we do, we're trying to bring over the samples a little bit at a time, the specimens. We want to make sure that the specimens are as insect free as possible from insect pests, and so the way you usually do that now is to take and freeze the samples. We've just started bringing a few of them over, so we just have a few of the samples so far, so these have been taken care of from the standpoint of freezing. I brought some of these Parker samples over, so Asteraceae from the Parkers. So Parker and Fink, so these are like 140, 150-year-old samples. Since I don't have a good table to lay them out on, I'm not going to pull them out and things like that, but at least we've got some of the Parker Fink ones. There's another collection that we've been working on, referred to as the, what I'm calling the Centennial Collection of duplicate samples that probably were created about the time, around 1876, when the Centennial a centennial celebration or exhibition was being held in Philadelphia, celebrating 100 years of the United States. And Iowa took a series of herbarium specimens, not necessarily these exact specimens, okay, but they're duplicates, and we can kind of prove that from some of the literature that's associated with these. And we have several collections that we got from students or alumni from the late 1800s, and I think this is one of those collections down there. Thomas Elwick, I believe, is the name. But like I said, some of that stuff is pretty fragile, so we haven't gotten through a lot of those collections yet. We wanted to make sure that we get the stuff, the material that is most important from the standpoint of the archival processing in these cabinets as soon as we can. So we'll just kind of keep bringing that stuff over, and then I've got my own collections that I'll be kind of bringing over. They'll fill up a couple of these cabinets as well, and eventually we'll kind of get everything over here. Okay. All right.
When I came to Upper Iowa in 1966, it was just really before they just had built the new Baker Hebron, and they had gotten rid of the old building that had a lot of the museum. That was a museum that was built into the old museum, science building, and a lot of that stuff went into storage for a lot of years. Some we even found in attics and other places around when I was here in 1966. And a lot of these things have been just kind of floating around for those many years, and we're kind of pulling it all back together again. Taught anthropology here at Upper Iowa, and sociology, anthropology, all of those things, and these are skulls of different ages of man all the way, from the Peking man all the way to Homo sapiens and so on, and Java man, etc. So, and we have other things that people brought back. A lot of times they'd come back to Upper Iowa from a trip and they would bring things back. There's some pottery from Mexico in here. There are various little and sundry things that have been given through the years. And this case was sitting in the hall in Baker Hebron. Well, I came here in '66 and it was still sitting in the hall when this spring came. It had been in that hall a long time and has been reworked and now programmed for this spot around the C.C. Parker Herbarium and also Science Museum. So that we're working on this today, getting it set up. We'll have some other labels on it the next couple of days.
So right here we basically have the hairy Rapless collection, and it is mostly made up of things like Mexican agates and just a bunch of different types of agates that were donated after hairy Rapless had died.
Well, Leora Sullivan was an alumnus of Upper Iowa. She was an Oldenburg. Her maiden name was Oldenburg, came out of Illinois, and then later in life lived around Arlington. But she went to Upper Iowa, and upon her death, her rock and mineral collection and so on that she had accumulated over a lifetime, and she had a lot of other collections as well. And Leora gave these here to Upper Iowa. And so we've arranged, at least to start out with, this happens to be crystal collection. This is crystals, different kinds of crystals, different crystals that everything from amethyst in the center to fluorite to calcite to any other quartz itself. So we're doing this as a case. It'll be all also labeled as to the type of crystals that are in this case.
So right here we have something that we actually just found about 15 minutes ago, and it is a collection of super old educational pieces on plant fossils. These are, I believe, from 1940. So they are very old, and we are kind of figuring out something to do with them right now.
These are Native American baskets. They're Ho-Chunk. The Ho-Chunk tribe, also known as Winnebago. The maker of this one would be Emma Big Bear. Emma Big Bear was the last Ho-Chunk to live the old ways in Iowa. She lived by McGregor and Marquette and up the river to a place called Waukon Junction. I collect the baskets and do a lot of talks about Emma Big Bear and Native Americans. I'm active in Native American societies and things of that nature. So I'm trying to bring a little bit of the multicultural aspects of Upper Iowa. Upper Iowa has always been a multicultural institution, whether it be Native Americans or American blacks. They've always been part of it. And I grew up in the area, and my family's always been attached to Upper Iowa. So.